Hey, welcome back to Trust the Rust. Today we're doing something different. This is more family history, and it's about this thing right behind me. Now, most of the time it's mechanical, it's going to have rust. Lately there's been some shiny paint involved. That's alright. But today we're going to talk about this barn. It's a barn that my grandpa built. We're going to talk to my Uncle Rich. He still owns a farm. Problem is, he's selling the farm. Now it hasn't been dairied. I mean, this was a dairy farm for years, but it hasn't been dairied since the early 80s. So no animals have been raised here in a long time. He's still farmed, custom farmed for other people. He's still, you know, he's on 40 acres here that he took over from my grandpa. And we're going to talk about that a little bit. And right now, you probably can't see it. He's through the window right back there. So my dad's here, and then like I said, my Uncle Rich owns a place. So my dad and his brother are talking stories, and some of them are stuff I've never heard, some I have, and it's pretty fun. So anyway, we'll get my dad and uncle out, and we'll start talking about the barn, where it came from, how it was built, where the lumber came from, that is, who built it, and right on up till this point.
Rick got it, even if it was in there unplugged. You didn't know that.
Yeah.
So he said, I just take it out and hide it.
Oh, yeah.
And then it took a little bit, and then she got used to it, and she drank it. So basically, you know, well, back in the olden days, they didn't have that great of stuff. I mean, you could get the short real easy.
Right.
The hot water heater had a short in it. And I was doing all the washing, you know, with the milking equipment. It had to be so clean and all that.
Great
Every time
email.
I stick my hand in that sucker to start washing it. Son of a gun. And I told Dad about it. Well, we got to have it washed. We never did anything, never thought about, you know, unplugging the electricity to that thing. And I remember when Johnny Roseman came here to replace it. It was supposed to be one of them hot water tanks that wasn't all that great, you know, that's what he was saying, because he wasn't selling that brand.
Oh.
Dad said something to him about, well, we've only had it 15 years or so.
Yeah.
But there's an electric bulb in there.
Yeah.
So he said, well, I don't know if there's even power here. And he pulled the bulb out and stuck his finger in there. Oh, yeah, there's power in there. But he didn't jerk his hand back. He just matter of factly said it. Yeah, there's power there.
Oh, yes. And so, well, they had to come up here and go in where the chicken coop in was. Well, we couldn't walk up that, and the pigs couldn't walk up that.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Finally, we got a rope tied around one somehow or another, and rope out the front end, you know, between the front legs, and set back here behind the corner of the milk house and pulled that pig up the ice incline and then get it over to the other door.
Oh,
God.
And the doors you didn't normally use didn't always open and close easily.
Now,
Like that one at the corner over there,
Yeah.
the northeast corner, and that one over there.
well, that
You had
thing
to
is,
really jerk on them suckers to get them to close.
and that door is so frickin' heavy. And
Yeah,
there should
oh,
really
yeah.
be 4 hinges on that
Yeah.
thing. 'Cause it
I
just-
imagine you put new hinges on the door going into the barn there, did you? Or are those still the originals?
Which ones?
Right here. Barn door that's open.
No, them are original. Well, just a minute. No, I did something here.
Okay.
You can see the new bolts in there.
That one got open and closed a lot.
Yeah. Well, you see it's double 1 inch stuff.
It was open most of the time.
It was still, yeah, this one has 3 hinges on it.
Okay.
But these were all elongated, and so then I jacked the door up, took them out and jacked the door up, and re-drilled the holes, and then put new bolts in this side.
Yeah.
So,
These are the same doors, just cut off.
yeah.
You get it in here and it would still rattle in the northeaster, but
Yeah.
it was better than nothing.
We would quite often, when we had it earlier on, we'd stick a 1x4, 2x4 in there, and
Yeah.
wedge it against the.
In the middle of a northeaster, as long as you weren't using it, you could put commoner up against it to keep the wind out.
Right. We did that a lot.
They're saying that's the door stop right there.
that's
The
a
doors come
horseshoe in there.
together. That's a horseshoe, they said. Probably from one of their own horses.
Yep. These are the ends here where the
Yep.
door was held the door open.
Yeah, there's another one of the
Kinda got
guides. This is the
bent
second
over. I
one.
think Rich did that when he was trying to clean snow out with the skid steer.
So I didn't hit the record button right away, and what they're talking about here is where the white line is there, and over here was the main door into the barn.
That was a 14-foot driveway through.
Yep. And then since then, from the white to the white, it's all been filled in, a window added, and they're saying that these doors up here are part of the original doors that used to be here.
Yeah, just cut back.
Track and everything.
Yep, it's all still up there. I've got a couple photos of the old barn, or I don't know when the pictures were taken, the 40s or 50s, but I'll get those in there and try and show the same area.
Yeah.
I set the fork down in the hay, you know, and then hit the lever and
Yeah.
flop it
Lock
over.
it in there.
They said, because we got to get something done here today. Dad says, well, because they always spill a little bit of hay off the sides, and they just let that there until it's all done, then they just feed it to the cows. But Dad says, if you want to make a shock of that, you know, make a shock about this high, and then we'll let the fork down. You can climb up there and put that in, you know. And well, then I could just reach it like this, you know. The cable came down and went up and stationary in on that.
Yep.
And anyway, I did just like the big guys do. I was holding the cable, the pulley, so it wouldn't twist.
Yep.
Well, they always held the cable, but they held on the cable that was going up.
Not down.
And I held on to the one that was going down, so to speak.
Because he was shorter.
Yeah. I got pulled up in that thing, and I was grabbing the other cable, you know, and
Here's somebody on the, I don't know what that time when you got your hand in it, but used the tractor to pull it out all the way through, pulley down at the foundation on the, close to the silo, and we just drove out that way
right.
to pull it, get the thing all the way up there, and then they'd trip it up the hay and then let it go back down. The bad part with the tractor was a tricycle.
Yeah.
And had the slow reverse.
Oh yeah. Oh.
And if they were pulling on it, you know, and then they'd reach for another one, it would stop. If you let too much go underneath the tractor, you're going to back on it, and then you would get cussed out.
Yeah.
It was a Bearcat.
We always had just a small board laying there as far as you wanted
Yeah, how far you wanted to go.
the horse or the single tree, whatever. But yeah. And there had 2 mouths, so you'd start out with the back mouth.
Yeah.
You were just filling that, and you'd pull the hay back, and whoa, and you'd stop, and then they'd pull the trip rope about the right time, and down and come that
So you
5 shocks of hay, and then they'd start mowing it to the side.
pitch and
And
dust.
then the next load to do the same thing, and then when they get up to a certain height, the top of the beam up there about, then they would only go to the first mow, and they'd repeat that. So then now your horse don't have to go so
Yeah.
far.
So then you put a board or whatever there, so
Yeah.
you'd stop and
You'd
dump
be
it
about
in the same
14
place.
feet shorter. And, oh, gee.
Okay.
Grandpa Lou Strimler, Doug and Maya's grandpa, and our mom was their oldest daughter, and she married Dick Bauman, and they farmed a couple places before they come here. And during the Second World War, so building materials and a whole lot of other stuff was restricted or highly limited or not available or rationed. And lumber was one of them. And Dad bought this place, and he was still farming on the Pangbourne Road. But the barn that was here it just couldn't be salvaged. So the Strimler clan, Lou Strimler clan, decided once they found the lumber in Bellingham, lumber drying shed, it was air dry, just natural air dry, and that was for sale. It had to come down. It was bolted together, much of it, with big bolts, and these windows here you see, these 9 light come out of that building. And they got enough lumber out of that building to build 4 barns like this one here. They built 3, and my uncle was a partner in it. He has a 1/4 partner. his share of the lumber. He didn't need it, so he sold it to somebody. But the other three, one barn here at 1852 Van Dyke Road, another barn is on the Alpool place that Eagle Mill has their big loafing shed, and there's a tree on the south side, and that was part of that farmyard. Alpool had that. And then down the Pullender Road on the west side, past Sherm Pullender, in the last corner, before you hit the Belsma, or when you hit the Belsma, Mike Vandergrain. No, Mike or Ward, what was it?
Ward was the one that I knew, but he was
Okay, it was Mike Vandergrain, his Ward's dad.
Yeah.
He built a barn out there, and that is gone. It just fell down. And then the Alpool barn got taken down by the Youngs. They ground it up because they're going to put their loafing shed there. And so this is the only barn standing, and it needs attention. But Grandpa Lou Strimler and his son-in-laws, sons and son-in-laws, and his nephews from his brothers Fred Strimler and Fred. There's one more. Fred and Lou and John and Chris. Well, anyway, mostly offspring of Fred Strimler Sr. come and helped, and other people. Maybe somebody remembers Bern Visser, who used to deliver bread and bakery goods. He was one of them that came and worked on this. How much he worked, I don't know. And due to his working here, the sidebar, across the road was the Flossman family, and they had all girls, and they were nice looking. And so he dated one of them gals, and ended up, Bernice was her name, and they got married, and they have offspring in Linden area. And then they started out by having room for 16 cows in the stanchion, and then room for 3 horses and or a bullpen, a grain room, a chicken coop along L side, the south side, and a little bit of the west side, and that other section where there could be 8 more cows was for a variety of young stock and so on.
Tied up, kind of.
Yeah. Had gutters in it, so we had Doug and his older brothers and others had to pitch that manure in the wheelbarrow and then go out the west side and then up the plank in the north. In the wintertime, the north wind blew hard sometimes. It was a mess. You dumped the manure off the end and came back down and got inside again.
Well, and also the wind was out of the northeast, so it wasn't coming just directly at you, but also the side.
Yeah.
So you had to bounce it on 2 planks, about probably that way combination.
Yeah.
And if it was wet or any ice on it or snow, that didn't add to the making it any easier.
There was a person or two who slipped going up the manure plank with a wheelbarrow full of manure, and they did a face splash.
Ooh.
That's.
Ooh.
Normally, when you filled up the wheelbarrow, you try to mix a little bit of urine in with the solid stuff. So when you got it pretty much full of the solid stuff, then you kind of top it off with the liquid around the outsides of it, kind of.
Yeah.
So that just added to the weight and the instability of it.
So, about what year was the barn built? You said Grandpa bought this place in 1940?
Yeah.
39, 40?
We moved here in the spring of 1940.
Spring of 40.
Best calculation.
Okay.
How long did it take to build it all together? Like a year?
I don't know. But the few times that we did come here, when we was living on the Pangborn Road, after Mom would get everybody out of the house for their lunches, then we would sometimes come here and work in this house before it was being rented. And then you'd see the guys on the roof, you know, a whole crew of people working.
Yeah.
It was not uncommon to have a dozen people, 10, 12 people working at a time.
So, about what year was that then?
That was 1940.
When they're working on the roof?
Yeah.
Oh, so they're already building the barn when they were moving in.
Yeah, before we farmed here.
Oh.
We had no place to milk cows here.
Okay.
So it's kind of running two places. Of course, you got to get your hay put in.
And all your farm work over there.
Yeah.
Chores and everything that goes along with summertime haying and then come
Grain.
over here and try to get something done.
Yeah. So they did a lot of work. And there was no ready mix trucks available, or period. They didn't have them before history prior to ready mix trucks. And so all the footing and concrete, the gravel was hauled in with horses and a wagon off the Nooksack River, which was a mile and a half, almost 2 miles away,
Yeah, about that. Yeah.
and pitched on by hand and put down here and mixed with a putty putt cement mixer and put it in the wheelbarrow and wheeled over there. In the meantime, somebody's getting another batch ready. So that gives you an idea of how much hard labor them people had. I cannot explain, now I'm going overhead, I cannot explain how they got them rafters up there. I don't know that.
either.
I'd say watch the Amish people build a barn. You'd get a decent idea.
You might.
Because you
Might.
could,
Yeah.
you might build the first rafter down here and get it up there with pulleys of some way. But after that, it might be bringing the rest of the boards up maybe, or
Some poles.
build each one
A lot
and
of
poles. Yeah, and
cable.
yep.
Well, and of course, once you get two rafters up there, then you right away put a board, you nail them together for
Yep.
the temporary, and then you nail onto that the next one
Yep.
and keep on going. I'm wondering if in some cases they put up a gin pole,
Yep.
maybe not the full 38 feet high or so, but we could pull up with a horse and then a bunch of guys stop the thing from going too far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they usually put braces to it
Yes.
and get it perfectly square, and then they bring the next one up.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, it isn't like now where you can build it.
Okay,
where you
so
buy it. You don't even have to make
if you're not caught up, there used to be a barn here. Wasn't any good. They tore it down, and by about 1940, they started putting this one up after getting the lumber from Bellingham Bay, which was a wood drying building
Yes.
where they
lumber drying.
air dried lumber. The building was torn down by 4 different people.
Yep.
Yep. And then brought to the 4 different, or at least 3 building sites. 4th owner sold his lumber to somebody else, and this is the last barn standing that it's the last barn standing out of the 3.
Yeah, get a shot at the top line of it.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get
It's
some.
straight as an arrow.
Yeah.
The barn.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and for me, each time I drive by, I think, boy, this barn's in pretty good shape. But now that you get up close, everything's still straight, strong looking. Really, it needs
Needs
attention.
some new skin.
It needs new siding. Could use some paint. Siding's falling off the south end of the barn. You can't see through the barn because it's double layered. But yeah, a lot of history here. It's not 100 years old yet, but it's now at least 83.
Yes.
Yeah, 82,
This spring should be 84. So it's not a century barn by any means yet, but it is close.
it would make it.
It could make it. So the other reason we're doing this video is Uncle Rich here is selling the farm, and you said that process is starting next month,
Yes.
and then
December and January.
December and January, yeah. So after January, they've been offered to stay in the house, but the barn and the field goes to the farmer across the road. So after that, we don't know if he's going to keep the barn or if he's going to level it, or we have no idea.
Don't know.
I mean, there is space for storage for equipment, but not the whole barn. So, but to make a great wedding venue or something.
They'd have to do to get machinery just pushed in and out. They have to do a fair amount of retrofitting, modifying.
Yeah.
And he's got a nice set of buildings down the road on another property that is really fits equipment well.
Yep.
So we don't know what he's going to do with it.
Yeah.
They're gonna put berries at, not next year, because he got his plants ordered from the nurseries, but they have a backup on plants, so he's gonna have to wait one more year before he
Okay. Yeah. So the berry farmer across the road, right over here, they're going to be the new owners. So I was hoping to get out here during the summer. It's a little warmer, but here we are. It's the day after Thanksgiving. Finally getting a chance. The weather's nice, sun's out, no rain, no clouds, which means it's cold.
Beautiful day.
Yeah, it is. Well, normally about this time of day you get a northeast wind, a breeze.
Yeah, see the flag over there?
It's
laying down pretty close.
Yep. So, yeah, he's pointing to their flag over here in the yard. It's fluttering a little bit out of the northeast, which gets cold this time of year. So,